Okay, guys. So thank you so much. Welcome everyone for another exciting session of the Bizagi Process Professor. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your interest. And thank you so much for being with us today. Today, we're going to start talking about one really interesting and amazing topic that is going to be how to build your single point of operational truth. My name is Kevin Guerrero. I am the Technical Marketing Manager, aka the Process Professor. And I am so happy to be with you today during our session. If it is the first time that you attend a Process Professor session, let me just explain you a little bit how this space works and what are the great advantages that you are going to take from it. So this is actually one space that we have created for our customers, our partners, our community in general. And the idea is that you can have a free space where you can contact and where you can talk with a Bizagi expert and try to resolve any question, any comment, any issue, whatever you are having with the use of our products, or even if you're interested in one of our products, I can help you to resolve any query that you got about them. This is a completely free space that we're going to have. We're having a monthly execution of the Process Professor, and always we're doing the execution on the second Thursday of every month. So in that way, you can actually add this to your calendars, you can schedule yourself, and you can attend to the different Process Professor sessions that we're having. Also, something really important for you to take into account is that the way on how this Process Professor space works is in the following way. We're going to have always one main topic that we will discuss during our session. Today is actually the one about the how to create a unique or single point of operational truth. That is going to be the first part of our session. We will be discussing, talking, creating some information about what is happening on the market, what are the problems, the challenges, the benefits, the way on how we can solve it. And then after that point, we're going to take some minutes to show you how our products in terms of the Bizagi platform can help you or it can actually support anything that was discussed in the first part of the presentation with that topic that we were discussing. And finally, we're going to have some last minutes in every single session that is going to be a completely free space for you. This free space, basically, it's open for questions, for comments, for queries, for suggestions regarding any Bizagi topic. So please take into account that it doesn't have to be about the topic that we're discussing in the session. It can be about anything, right? So if today we're talking about in how to create a single point of operational truth, and you got a question about how to use a connector or how to do an integration with X system, or how can I change something on the Bizagi World Portal? Any of those questions, we are going to take care of it at the end of our session. Okay? So this is the way on how our Process Professor works, and this is going to be the structure that we're going to have all the time. At the end, when we get into this last section of the question, you are going to have two options. You will have the opportunity to enable your microphones, turn on the microphones, and just ask the question using a microphone, or if not, we're going to have a little pod or a little section on the GoToWebinar where you can write and type the question that you have about this. If you have a question during the execution of the session, you can also put it directly into the question box, and I will review it once that we get into the last part of our Process Professor, okay? So let's start with our session today. So today we will be discussing and we will be talking about one interesting topic, that is how to build your single point of operational truth. The way on how we're going to handle this is that we will start talking about the importance, why having a single point of operational truth or a business process repository is going to be important and relevant for companies. What are the problems, the challenges, and the issues that we are seeing on the markets when companies does not have this kind of repository or this kind of unique single point of operational truth? To support this and to get more understanding about how we can tackle the problems that we're seeing with the problems of this, we will be talking about two important topics that can or that are available when we're working in the Visage. That is value chain diagrams and the Visage process library. We will understand how these two features help us, how these two features works, and how these two features will actually help and support to take out and to decrease the impact that we're having with the problems that we will see in the presentation. So let's start this session with some important numbers and some important information that we just identified when we were reviewing and taking a look to the different market that we got. So one of the things that we were able to identify in one study that was performed by INC, right, is that bad communication can cause a company that has over 100,000 employees to lose $62 million a year, according to one communication expert, that is David Grossman, right? He calculates that each employee in this environment lose about $26,000 a year in productivity. And all the problems and all the options that we're having here, it is because of bad communication. The big problem for companies about bad communication is that this is going to generate not only a loss in money, but also this is going to decrease a lot the motivation in their employees. When you don't have in a company an standardized or a good communication, no one will ever know really how to do the things. No one is going to know for sure how are the process that we have in the organization, what are the responsibles, which are the timelines that we have, who I have to report some point of the process. One of the things that we have identified with these bad communication problems is that if you don't have, right, a good communication, the execution of simple tasks can even be modified according to personal perceptions. So it means if I have to do one specific task and I don't know how to do it, probably what I am going to do is to just go and ask someone that I know, someone that is older than me in the organization, someone that has more experience than me. But what it can happen in this situation is that each of them can actually add some personal information and some personal advices on how to do it. If this is not completely aligned with the way on how the organization must work, we will end into mainly different ways to execute simple tasks. Completely different. And this is going to generate a lot of impact in terms of the organization. When a bad communication is in place of the organization, one of the biggest problems that we are able to identify is the rework. If you don't have completely clear how something must be executed, if you are not able to communicate new changes or new ways on how to perform processes or simple tasks, what you are going to have is a lot of rework. So if you decide to change one specific process in your organization, but you are not able to communicate that change effectively, what it is going to happen is that during a period of time, everyone is going to be, or many people will continue doing the process exactly in the previous way, in the old way. And you are going to start having inconsistency in the systems. The quality in the information can be maybe put at risk. You are not going to have the results that you want, and you are going to have a lot of rework and time waste because of this. So if we got so many problems when we're talking about that an organization can have bad communication, then how can actually reduce this miscommunication impact? What can we do as an organization to improve this? How we can take out that a lot of reward and money that we're losing because of the miscommunication that we have internally in the organizations. So one way that we have identified, and that it is actually well known in the market to reduce these problems, is to actually have single points of operational truth that are also called as process repository. So if I am able to put together every information that I got in the organization, to group all of that into a simple place, to put together the knowledge of every single employee that I have in my company, and organize all of that in one single point, in one single process repository, and make this place my single point of operational truth, then I am actually taking out many of the problems that can happen because of the bad communication that can be found in the organization. So how and what is at the end this process repository and how we can use them? So a really, really simple and general definition for a process repository is the one that we can find here. It is that a repository of business processes provides a central reference location to ensure consistent communication. Please be careful about this one. What I want to do, and one of the main objectives with repository of business processes, process repository, single point of operational truth, is to have and ensure consistent communication. That's the first and probably one of the most important objectives that we want to achieve with this. Here, the communication that I want to have, it is information about each process. Regarding what? Regarding how every single process should be applied. Who is responsible for its success execution? A clear understanding of the inputs or triggers and what the expected results should be once that the process is complete the execution. So once, or if I am able to put all of this and all this information together in one single point, I am going to be completely sure, and I am going to assure that no one in the organization is going to have a misunderstanding or a miscommunication for any specific process. This is going to be great even from a point of view of taking out all those barriers that can be found between departments, between areas. It takes out in some way also the silos of information. Because now, if what I want to do is to put everything in one single repository where everyone is going to have a part, with everyone is going to actually take care of that and have access of it, then there is no any other way of areas or departments or group of employees that work as independent silos. So once that we have this completely clear, it's then why do I need a single point of operational truth? Why I want to have in my organization one single point where all the information is centralized, is organized, and is completely available and free for everyone. So some of the most important points to actually have these kind of things are these ones. The first one, I would like to enhance consistency and provide clarity for my employees. So one of the things that we identify when we are not working with a central repository, when we don't have the information, is that no one really knows, or no one actually have completely, let's say, the truth about how the process is going to work. We can have individual perceptions of the execution of that process, and because of that, we are going to have not consistency within our process. Some information can come in one way from one department, another piece of information in a completely different way from another one, and this can generate in a mid and long term really important problems in terms of the quality of the data and the information that we're able. One of the things that we say is that if you got already repeatable processes that are completely documented, that has been in place for a good time, then you don't have to redesign, or you don't have to explain it over and over again to any new employee that you got over here. You can take it and use it using exactly the same approach that you defined it from the first time. So once that you got one central repository that is clear for everyone and is going to be considered as the single point of operational truth, then there is no doubt about how we have to apply something. You just have, if someone has any question, you just redirect them directly to this place, and they can just get and understand how this works. But additional of this, if you were able to get this process repository or single point of operational truth, we are going to provide more clarity within the organization. How? We are reducing the operational ambiguity by specifying exact tasks that requires to complete one process. Who is responsible? How long it will take? How to perform it? How it's going to be which are the inputs? Which are the outputs? Everything is going to be so detailed and so clear that you are going to increase this clarity within the organization. The second main thing that we're going to get when we are creating, or why we need to have actually this single point of operational truth, is to build an agile foundation. please take into account that we have seen in the last couple of years in the market that it is completely necessary and required that you are flexible and agile to apply changes within the organization. We even saw it with more impact, with more, let's say, visibility last year during the pandemic. It was required to actually be agile, to change and to modify the way on how we operate to actually adapt to new business requirements. And this is something that you will be able only to do if you got completely clear the current way and how you are executing and performing your task. So if you got your single point of operational truth, if you got all your processes completely centered and organized and structured in a single point, then you have already your agile foundation. The foundation of your company are all the processes and how all of them are connected. So if I want to do a change, I can go really quickly and start doing the changes right away, right? The third one that we're going to have here is to have a repository of knowledge and training. One of the most important things when we're able to structure, create, and set up a single point of operational truth or a process repository is that we are going to avoid, right, all that knowledge that we lost in organizations when one employee leaves. If you think about, and probably in your professional experience, you have faced this one, employees that has been working in the same organization for a long time, right? And at some point, they decide to just leave, or they retire, or they go to another place. If we are not smart enough as an organization to take out all the knowledge that those employees can have, we're going to lose that information. So one of the great things about having a single point of operational truth is that as you have to take and document and centralize and have all the information about how one process works, what you are taking or what you are doing is to take and use all that knowledge, all the information of all those experienced employees and include them as part of process documentation. And when you got all the information and all this detail ready for you, then it means that the information is not going to be available for just one user. It's going to be available now for everyone. Everyone will have access. And actually, you can even use that information and that knowledge to train your employees. So I don't know if you have maybe experienced this, but sometimes if you join a company and the company doesn't have like a central point of operational truth or a process repository, and you want to know how one particular process works, it can take you a while, or it can be confusing, or probably you will have to go and read, I don't know, different mails or different pages to try to get the information that you got. And it can be a little difficult, and more important, it can be a little ambiguous. We don't know exactly if what we're reading is correct or not. But if we are able to have a single point of operational truth, every single employee or every single employee within the organization that wants to learn about a new process, or we want to explain them how one process works, we can take them and redirect them directly to our single point of operational truth, to our process repository. And that is the information that is available, free and true for the whole organization. So there are not going to be space for any doubt over there. The next one, and the last one that we got about this one, is basically to enable the process improvement. If we have all our processes documented, structured, published, and centralized in a single point of operational truth, it is going to be much easier for us to start doing process improvement. Because one of the first things that we have to do when we want to do a process improvement is to actually know how my process works, is to have that internal knowledge about how I am operating right now. What do I have? What are the steps that I am doing? What kind of things I should apply for my process? So if that is done, if we got all the information there in one single point, then do process improvement is going to be much easier. We will be able to take a look, to examine, to review one by one what is happening with my processes, where I can identify options or possibilities of improvement. Where do I have, for example, possibilities to just get and have bottlenecks? Where do I have to reaccommodate or reorganize my resources, where probably I need to hire new employees. All of that will be available if we got this process repository. Also, in terms of the process improvement, take a look that we are going to be even faster in terms of communication when we apply new process improvements. So if as a part of an action plan where we decide to modify some processes to improve them, I need then to go and communicate. The communication will be much easier because I have everything centralized. I don't have to go area by area or team by team to explain the way on how the process is going to work. I can communicate globally to my company in my central repository, and everyone is going to know it how to do it. So this sounds great. This is actually maybe one of the ways on how we can tackle and we can actually avoid and reduce those problems that we have in an organization when we have a really bad communication. So where do I start? If I want to start doing this, where is going to be my starting point? What kind of things can I start doing right now if I want to actually get all these benefits right now? So the first thing is that my starting point is going to be the Bizagi Modeler. Remember that here, us in Bizagi, we are one platform for every process. It means we understand that every single organization can have different type of processes. And because of that, as Bizagi, as our platform, as one platform for every process, we provide solutions, features, and different functionalities that will help you to handle, to tackle, and to organize those different type of processes. For this specific situation that we're having and that we're discussing in our today's session, that is creating a single point of operational truth or creating a process repository, my starting point is going to be the Bizagi Modeler. If you are new with the use of the Bizagi Modeler and probably you don't know how Bizagi Modeler works and which are the elements or the components that this application provides to you, basically what we say is that Bizagi Modeler, first of all, is a business tool for business users. It means Bizagi Modeler, the target of our Bizagi Modeler are not developers, are not IT, are not infrastructure managers. No, it's just business users that mainly, right, wants to use or are looking for a solution that allow them to do easy process documentation, collaboration, change management, simulation, and prioritization of processes. And that are looking or wants to achieve with these kind of things, the business transformation and the transparency within the organization. They are looking, or are users that are looking for operational excellence. They want to know and they want to get better information where to focus the efforts that we got in the organization. They want to have actually an easier compliance and audits. If I have by law 2% compliance or multiple audits within a year, they want to actually achieve this in a simple way. And they want to have one way or one tool that allow them to do knowledge transfer. So all of this is what users are looking when they are working with Bizagi Modeler. The way on how our Bizagi Modeler works is a structure is based on plans. So we have a plan-based product. It means that according to your needs, according to the features that you want to use, you can select the plan that is more appropriate for you. So we have personal plan that is completely free. This is the plan that you are going to get or that you will be seeing automatically once that you enter into our Bizagi.com website and you download our Bizagi Modeler. It's in the personal plan. The next one that we got is the professional plan. And take into account that personal and professional are specifically for individuals. So it means it's just one person working with our application. We have two more that are specifically for business and are workgroup and enterprise ones. In the workgroup, there is something really important that I want that you know, and is that you have the option and you have the opportunity to enable a free trial of the workgroup plan. You can test all the features and everything that we got in the workgroup completely free for a period of time. So you can just go and review how you can take your diagram, your documentation, and more information to a next level over here, okay? And basically, once that someone decides to start using our Bizagi Modeler is because they are looking to have or to satisfy any of the following four things. First one, they want to start creating process diagrams. So it means customers has a need, and the need is I need to start creating my process diagrams. I need in some way to translate those daily activities that I execute in my organization into diagrams that I can share with everyone in the company to understand in detail how they work. When we're talking about, right, the process diagrams, usually this is the first step that customers are going to do when they want to start organizing and understanding in detail their processes. The second thing that customers can use, or the way on how they can use our Bizagi Modeler, is through the documentation of those processes. So the first step, it will be, I am going to create a diagram with the different steps, and that's it. But on the documentation, I want to get all the details about every single step. I want to define which is the responsible, which are the preconditions that I have to take into account, what are the validations that I have to do, whatever is needed to provide more clarity in every single step of the process must be included in the documentation. The third thing that customers use, or for what customers use Bizagi Modeler, is to simulate processes. So if I have already my process defined, I want to start understanding in detail how this process works, how much it costs me the execution of a process, how I am using my resources. Am I having an underutilization of resources or a subutilization of resources? And I will be able, through the simulation, even to resolve and to compare multiple scenarios. So what it will happen if in this particular process I hire a new employee? What it will happen if I reorganize my employees? What it will happen if I replace one task with a bot? All of these can be achieved and can be get when you are doing process simulation. And finally, the last one, and is the one that we're going to talk about today, is to have a process repository. So through the use of Bizagi Modeler, I can create my process diagrams, I can document those process diagrams, but at the end, I am also able to publish those process diagrams into one central repository that allow me to get this single point of operational truth. One place where absolutely everyone will be able to get the information, to read the information, and to understand how every single element works for everyone in the organization. Something important at the moment that we're creating process diagrams, right, with Bizagi Modeler, is that we can create different type of diagrams or different type of approaches. The first type of diagram that we can create are, let's say, these structured processes that we're so used to them, and that probably are the most common ones. So are these type of processes that you always have the same, let's say, structure and order. So you got step number 1, step number 2, step number 3, and we always follow this information. These are individual processes executed for one or many areas, but it's just one specific one. But also in Bizagi, we have another type of diagrams that we can create and that actually will help us to start taking out this problem of miscommunication in the organization. And these are the value change diagrams. So what are actually these value change diagrams? How we can create them, why they are important, and why they are going to help me to tackle that miscommunication problems that we got in the organization. So the first thing that I want to explain is that a value change diagram is nothing different than just a set of processes that an organization carry out to create value for its customer. So it's the way on how we can see the full panorama of an organization. These type of diagrams are primarily used when you want to show the strategic or primary processes of the organization. This is a really, really powerful strategic tool that our organizations today can actually use to stay competitive and focus the efforts efficiently towards the line of business. So if I have clear which are the processes that are generating more value for my organization, what I can do is to actually get and focus into them. But also, one of the important things that we have seen is that in the changing environment that we're now, that is changing every single day and is getting even more strong and even more hard to be in or to sustain in the environment, it means that if we want to be competitive, if we want to highlight, the process optimization cannot be just be applied to the core processes or to the primary processes. Now, the whole value change that we got in an organization needs to be optimized if you want to actually find a way to gain a competitive advantage in the market. So not just focus on the core processes. They are good. They can be actually our good starting point. But if I want to actually highlight, if I want to be different in the market, I need to take into care the whole value chain diagram. And something that happens is that sometimes there are going to be organizations that doesn't have even this clear. They don't know how are the strategic plans of the organization. So if you are able to have a single view of the whole corporate value chain, make easy to identify for you bottlenecks, processes that maybe we need to improve, processes that maybe we have to take out, processes that can be replaced. And at the same time, we are improving the communication for the organization, basically teaching or showing to every single employee how we are delivering information and value to the market. These type of diagrams can be created when you are working with our Bizagi product, Bizagi Modeler product. And additionally, once that you have these value chain diagrams, you can also publish them into a central process repository. So once again, I am going to have now an even more mature and stronger view on how my organization works in the whole thing. All these diagrams will be at the end stored and saved in what it will be the Bizagi process library. This Bizagi process library is basically the way on how we can create our unique point of operational truth. This is the way on how we will create and we will achieve this. It is a cloud central repository. It means that it will be available on the cloud and you can share a simple URL to all your employees and all of them will be able to see how all your processes work. And the main purpose of this process library is to share all the change made in real time in the models or processes in the company. It will help you quickly to demonstrate how each role and activity in your organization will contribute with value for what you get. Okay? So these are the concepts that we have behind of which are the most important problems that we got in organization when we have miscommunication and really bad problems of communication. How can we tackle them using elements as process repository, process library, single point of operational truth, right? And value chain diagrams, and how we can achieve all of this using our Bizagi Modeler. So what I want to show you now is a little bit how all of these features looks like when we are working in our products. So if we think about the development cycle that we need to follow in order to get into this creation of process library or process repository, I must say that we must start always with the Bizagi Modeler, creating and defining Bizagi process diagrams. So with the Bizagi Modeler, the first thing that we have to start doing is this task. How can I basically define and create the diagrams? How can I translate those daily activities that my employees are executing on a daily basis to achieve or to complete one process, and translate that into one diagram that is easy to understand for everyone in the organization. Using what? Using basically the standard that is available in the market, that is the BPM end. So we create our diagrams, we define step by step what we got, we define the name of the process, responsibles, every single step of the process. And once that I got this process ready, what I can start doing is to create my process library. I can start creating the structure that I want for all my employees to access to these processes and to this information in an easy way. How the process repository is going to look like. So I was telling you this is a cloud repository. So it means it's going to have a URL, a public URL, where you need to authenticate to enter into this space. Take into account that over here, I have actually my information about my user. I am the one that is accessing this cloud repository. And this is something that you are going to be able to see it in this way. So I got my processes, I have created diagrams, and I have now published those diagrams. So once that I have that published diagrams, take a look that now I have the structure and the organization that I want in terms of having a process repository. The screen that you are seeing right now is what it will be my process library, my single point of operational truth. Here is where I'm going to be able to have every single process that was created, shared, and published for the organization, for everyone in the organization. We will be able to define who can see this kind of views. And the great thing is that, again, if I have a new employee, or if I have an employee that is moving from one area to the other one, and they need to know and they need to learn about how one process works, this is going to be my central point. This is going to be the single point of operational truth. I am not going to go anywhere. And I say, hey, if you need to start doing a new expense report process, go to my process repository, enter into the expense report process, and review every single detail about that process. Review the responsibles, review the details on every single step that you got into the process, and understand how these processes are going to work for you. Here, there are going to be different ways on how you can organize and structure this point. Here in this example, we just organize our processes in different departments that we got in our organization. So we have administrative, we have HR, we have operations, and in every single of these sections, I am able to just review and understand in detail the different type of processes that I got. Take a look that the great advantage is that with one single point, I can go really quickly and learn how one process works. So if I have no idea, or if I am new and I don't know how the asset management works, the asset management process works, I can come here and I can start reviewing step by step. So enter permission request. What is the objective here? All this information is actually the details about how it works. Now, what happens when it finishes this one? Once that I got this, then I have to go to the permission managers. They will have to actually manage the permissions. They are going to review all of this. And now my documentation is so clear, so precise, that I am not going to be able, or I'm not going to have any open space for confusion or for miscommunication or misunderstanding about a process. If you see at this particular point, I have another section or another category here that I haven't mentioned yet, and is this value change diagram, because I want to show you how actually these value change diagrams can support and can even help you to, again, improve the way on how your communications work in your company. So once that I open one of these type of value change diagrams, this is going to be the view that you will be able to have. So it means that you can structure and organize the different type of processes that you got in the different sections that you are going to have it here. These type of diagrams are going to be available when you are working in your cloud option or in the cloud services. And this is basically the way on how they look like. So I can start saying, hey, you know what? On the top, I want to put the strategic processes, right? Then on the middle, I am going to have my core processes. And I can start defining exactly which is going to be the structure that I want to follow here. How? I can start adding different type of processes that you got over here. So this is my new process that is going to be connected with one process that I had over here, and it's going to be, for example, the assets management that I have on this one. So here I can give it a name. This is going to be my assets management process. And once that I got the whole diagram created, the whole structure and every single element at this point ready, what I am going to be able is to publish that one and have now something like this. Why this is going to be so important? Because again, it takes out the bad communication problem out of the map. You are not going to have any more. Everyone inside of the organization will have now completely clear which are the core processes that as an organization we are working on, where we can focus, and even take a look that once that I got all of this, every single process provides me the option to go and review in detail what I have on that. So if I know that one of my core processes is the change management, I can click on the change management, and from the change management, then review the details of what this is going to be about. What information do I have? Responsible, inputs, outputs, all the details about the execution of my process. So having this information that you are going to have it at this level, having this cloud repository where all processes are centralized, where the communication is easy because you just send everyone to this place and everyone can access the information in an easy way, plus the option of having even here in your process repository, in the single point of operational truth, value chain diagrams makes completely the whole map better, because now you got all processes together, completely documented, clarified, and defined step by step. And at the same time, you have the strategic view of your company in one single diagram that can be a value change diagram. So this is a way on how process library, right, and value change diagrams can help you to take out these miscommunication problems that we saw at the beginning of our presentation. Okay,